welcome. Can you let us
Hi,
know, hello, whether we are loud and clear, whether you can hear us and see us? If you can let us know in the comments, that would be great before we get started. Who's here with us? You can say where you're from. And by the way, if you're catching up on replay, then also feel free to ask questions, leave comments, we'll get back to you. Anders and Cassandra saying hey and all good. So let's get straight into it. And thank you, Red, for the confirmation too.
So yeah, welcome to the Spiritual Protection 101. We're doing a live streaming across all platforms. And we just thought it was prevalent to jump on and do a live today. Just to kind of let you know, Ria, if you could do us a favor with the phone, any rustling is kind of coming through the phone. So we're just trying a new technique on here with microphones and stuff. So, but yeah, we just thought it would be really, really useful to come on and to talk to you about spiritual protection, because it's kind of like a non-sexy subject, but it's kind of an essential part of your quantum toolkit, isn't it, Ria?
Absolutely. And we feel also called to speak about it because there is a very widespread narrative that you don't need spiritual protection. We're already in this high dimension, flowing in love and light, and we want to address that as well. So what we're going to cover in this live stream today, and by the way, if you hear background noise, they're just making a road next door. Hopefully they go off. And if there is shaking, there's not an earthquake, even though we live in an area quite prevalent to earthquakes. Let me just shut my window.
Yeah, we've got a lot of noise that's going on, but they come and they fix the road once in a blue moon, and today happens to be the blue moon, and we've got the machinery outside. So if you can hear it, I hope you just ignore it. They're working their way up the hill, so it's all okay.
So anyway, so Spiritual Protection 101, here we come. And today we're gonna cover a few very important points in this mini live training. First of all, we're gonna talk to you about, do you even need energetic protection? Because as we said, there is this narrative, and it's quite widespread in spiritual community, where it's about manifesting higher timeline. These things don't happen. I would just want to give you our experience of it and our perspective. Again, this is not the only perspective, but this is our experience, and we're going to share it. Number two, we're going to cover the consequences of not having adequate shielding, and we're going to share with you some real life case studies, because what we found is very often people don't even attribute certain things that happen in their life, in their businesses, certain problems, to actually lack of spiritual shielding, and it is due to that. So we're going to cover a few real life studies about groups, about individuals that we work with over the years, just to illustrate what it actually means in your day-to-day life. Because when we talk about spiritual protection, energetic protection, it can feel a little bit like out there in the quantum field, but it has really, really down to earth, real impact on a day-to-day life. Then we're going to talk about another not very sexy subject, which is spiritual attacks and what to do when you find yourself on the receiving end. We're going to talk you through it. And then we are also going to give you different types of shields and quantum architecture. And like one more thing that I want to state to you is we are here time limited. We're going to try to respect your time and definitely finish it all with under 1 hour or maybe less, depending on your questions and your input. However, for those of you who are interested in advanced techniques, in actually putting into practice what we're going to teach you today in just basics theory bits, we are having a full day energetic protection workshop this Friday, 10th of March, and we're going to talk to you about that too. So if you're interested in learning more and practicing more, that goes beyond the scope of today's workshop, of today's like live class. We have this full day workshop where we'll be literally drilling it all, erecting quantum architecture, but more about that later. Let's dive into, do you even need spiritual protection?
That's true. So, if anybody on here, you would have heard within the spiritual community, right? Which is, let's just manifest a higher timeline, and if I don't focus, if I don't focus on it, then I'm paying the attention to it. It therefore doesn't exist. So that therefore is kind of like spiritual ostrich mode, where we kind of go in there and we kind of bury our heads, or people bury their heads, and I see it like all the time. And unfortunately, just because we choose to believe in a higher timeline, or we choose to believe in a polarity that where this kind of stuff doesn't go on, doesn't mean that it doesn't, because we live in this sort of dualistic reality, right? So three-dimensional reality, it has the best of the best and the worst of the worst, and it coexists with everything in between. And so if you've got the best of the best, you have to have the worst of the worst. If you've got the light, there has to be the darkness. So we need to appreciate, not be intimidated by, but actually need just to appreciate that the other side of things exists, and therefore we can take appropriate measures to make sure we are never affected by this. And this is why, you know, this subject, I guess, is super important for people to kind of tune into, isn't it, Ria?
Yeah, absolutely. And there is something that I those of you who received our email yesterday, I gave this quite drastic example of: would you leave your house totally butt naked and leave your front door open and maybe even leave your password? Because I have heard that, and when I was speaking about spiritual attacks, it's almost there is a whole narrative around it where it's like, oh, I just believe in light, that things don't exist. I don't know if anybody of you here have come across people teaching it this way, where you just don't focus on it, and if you don't focus on it, it doesn't exist. And anybody here heard that kind of narrative? If so, let me know in the comments that you're familiar with it, because I have come across that every single time I speak about the dark side. It happens. And I believe there is a reason for it. And there's a couple of reasons. I believe that there are actually people out there who are literally not wanting this knowledge to come out. And because then they have literally a free-for-all in the quantum field. Because if you guys are not educated on the health and safety, then you're running around like this person, which is kind of running around naked in the streets and very surprised that everybody's staring at them. It's the same thing. Your energy field is your most precious asset. And let me say that again. Your energy field is really your most precious asset. And why is it your asset? Because the energy field is like the control room for your entire reality. What happens in your energy field inside it is reflected outwardly. And if someone can really compromise the safety of your energy field, if they can introduce some discordant energy, and we talk about how these things can be done, it can really wreak havoc in your whole reality. And worse still, if they can let you believe that this is not negative energy, it's not spiritual attack, it's your fault. And this is what happens to many beautiful light workers. They are on the receiving end of negative frequency, and they here just mirror it on yourself. If you're receiving it, it means that, you know, then maybe there's some unhealed wounds. And it's such a bypassing way, such a way to put someone who's under attack really down and minimize their experience, and just basically say, no, you're just imagining things, you're paranoid. And I can see here from your guys' comments that yes, you have experienced that kind of dismissive narrative.
Well, this dismissive narrative, if you think if it's being purported by sort of people who are acting in, let's say, a way which isn't ideal, let's say of a negative polarity in the quantum field, if that narrative could be purported that you don't need to protect yourself, that you could just manifest a higher timeline, and if you don't focus on it, then it doesn't exist, then just think of it like if you've got a burglar who's kind of wanting to, and just think of your people's energy fields as their home. If you've got a burglar that's wanting to rob people's houses, and he could put out, or he or she or they or whatever could put out a narrative within that neighborhood that you don't need to lock the doors and just leave your safe and stuff unlocked, it's kind of going to it's going to make that burglar's job a lot easier, isn't it? So if you just start to think what we need to start to do, and yes, okay, we're dealing with stuff which is beyond the five senses, but there's still common sense and logic that needs to be applied within that space, and that isn't. So when we, create the sort of analogy and we paint the scenario, think of your energy field like your house. And therefore, if you were to leave your house, would you just leave the door unlocked, or would you just let strangers wander in, or whatever? Common sense immediately goes, well, no, of course I wouldn't. Why would I do that? And you'd be right to say that, right? So why is your energy field any different? Why? You don't think of it in the same way, but it's just as vital that it's protected, isn't it, Ria?
Absolutely. So this is our take on it, and we want to share with you a few real life examples about why you actually need the spiritual protection. So answer to this question: do you need spiritual protection? Is yes. In the same way as your internet banking has a password, in the same way as maybe your phone has some face ID or a fingerprint or whatever, in the same way as you lock your house, in the same way as perhaps you have a fence or something, your energetic house is no different. And if you start, like Aaron said, thinking about your energy field like your house, things will become a lot easier. A little bit of common sense and things become easier. But of course, it gets way more complicated. So let us give you a few real life examples of what can happen when you are not adequately protected. And this will be both from our lives and from our past clients' experiences during individual sessions, because this is where they get you. When things are going wrong in your physical reality, if you don't believe in it can't be negative energy, then you start thinking this is something either accidental, coincidental, or something is wrong with me. Maybe I need to manifest harder. Or maybe I need to go to this shaman or to that tarot reader and they will tell me how to help. Because unfortunately, this also is very often a technique. And I think most of Aaron's kind of cases that he dealt with, helping people dispel different spells and get rid of negative energies, were very often in situations where someone was creating the problem to sell them a solution. So, Aaron, maybe you can share some kind of cases of what was happening in people's lives where they came to you on your one-to-one sessions, and
So I've seen so many examples. So I've worked with close to 1,000 people now, and so when we talk about spiritual protection, you might go, well, spiritual protection from what? Well, I would say, and I've got lots of data points now because I've worked with a lot of people, 80%. Sorry, I'll go the other way. 20% of the sort of shenanigans, let's say, that goes on in the quantum field is sort of related to entities and related to sort of non-human forms and sort of, like I say, these negative frequency entities, let's say, within the quantum field. About 20%. 80% of the stuff that I've seen has been instigated and driven by human beings. That's the reality of it. And it's not really a glamorous thing to talk about, because it's like, to talk about the subject, it's like people don't want to, oh, well, that's not ascended, I can't speak about this, but it doesn't mean that it's not going on. So you just kind of, and it's not being negative to talk about it, it's just appreciating that it exists and actually protecting ourselves so we can maintain our vibration. Because if we're attacked on the end of it, not only can your business suffer, your turnover suffer, your health suffer, it causes you problems, things break. I've seen it kind of all. And if we look at the different techniques, for instance, everything from curses, spells, witchcraft, I've seen energetic attacks, I've seen people's, and another thing to bear in mind is that we can protect ourselves, but then if we've got businesses, we need to look to protect them. If we've got physical objects and family and loved ones, we can protect them with certain architecture. So there are many ways that you can be attacked, but why would you be attacked, right? So what's the goal of it? So Ria mentioned spiritual practitioners. Unfortunately, there are some practitioners out there who will intentionally cause problems with a client in order that client keeps coming back, and it creates repeat custom. So it comes down to revenue and they're trying to make money from it. and you know, that might shock people to hear that, but that goes on. That's very, very common. There's another sort of technique that I've seen quite common. If you've got somebody working with a spiritual practitioner or a coach, and they're not of the light, let's say, or the highest vibration, sometimes that coach can introduce a cap on the person that they're in the form of like an incantation or a spell, and so that the student never rises above the king or the queen within that grid work or energy. And there's lots and lots of things that, or lots of reasons that people can be doing it. But you know, another one is sort of ego is another one, I guess, that can get in the way. But probably the most that I've seen, I guess, aside from maybe some of the let's say some of the landmines that people program into the field, is creating problems to sell solutions. Wouldn't you say that was the case?
Yeah. Well, so there's other thing is quite often people getting attacked by competitors. So jealousy being a problem, and that happens to us when our clients are business people. Where other spiritual practitioners maybe do that to cap them. But let's talk about something else rather than who is doing it. And then before I mentioned, and then there is people who are properly into the dark arts, and literally they're recruiting, they're siphoning energy, and I would say that's a minority, but we have come across that as well. But let's talk about something else rather than who does it, why do they do it. Let's talk about something very, very interesting here, which is what actually happens. What are the real life consequences? How can we tell if something is amiss? Because, like, you know, we're talking here, okay, attacking, this, that, but okay, what actually happens in real life? So, Aaron, can you give some examples?
Yeah, I can give some examples. So, a general one is that you would be super energetically drained. So it can literally siphon off your energy to the point where you're weakened. So even if you're competent, if you're not careful and you haven't got early warning sort of defense systems, say put in, or alarms set up, we can maybe talk about that in a bit. Basically, you might not detect that you're being attacked and drained, and before it's too late. And if it becomes to the point where you are physically drained, you're weak when it comes to sort of fighting back. So energetically drained is one of the first kind of examples.
Before you go further, actually, Cassandra, thank you so much. You have some absolutely fantastic comments, and all of you contributing will cover those questions and comments that you've got very soon. But this actually relates to what you've just said, Aaron, because when people say manifest your way out, Cassandra says that's a trap, because when you already energetically drain, then try to manifest, it's harder, it's all messed up.
Yep, absolutely. So it's, you know, that's the one thing, is to deplete what's going on. Another thing can be targeted frequency that would start screwing things up in certain areas of people's life. So if that's coming from a coach who knows the buttons that would agitate a potential person to come back, then potentially they could target frequency in that area that's going to cause problems to make that person come back, whether it's around their career or their love life or whatever they've been going through. So problems is kind of another one. If it's a competitor, they could do something over the business or try and attack the business, and that might affect reviews. It might affect new clients coming in. It might affect the revenue. It might stop people purchasing things. And ultimately, to dry up that revenue, to starve it of oxygen, basically, to try and kill off the business. That's another thing that could be done. Another thing is generally things breaking and causing you stress. Another thing is physical ailments, where they'll attack a certain part of the body, be it your back, your neck, or kind of problems like this. Sorry, were you going to say something, Rhea?
Yeah, Hilda's got actually a comment regarding that. By the way, hello, Hilda. Nice to see you, or actually, well, connect to you. She says, can it also get in the nerve system, like lightning in the body, hits suddenly and very hard in the head or stomach? Yes, it can. We've experienced this over and over again. And by the way, by us even holding this live here, we're potentially putting ourselves on the front line. Whenever we speak about spiritual attacks, we usually get someone whackers.
There's always somebody who listens to it and gets upset that we're talking about it quietly. They won't comment in the feed, but then they'll be, trying to attack us. It's always the case, but it's just, it's just wishing that people become healed and sending back light. But there are certain techniques where you can reflect frequency back to the source, you can transmute it, and this kind of thing. So
yeah, Cassandra says I'm an energy here, so it's really bad for me. It actually takes over physically, if that makes sense. Yes, absolutely. So your physical body can be affected, especially if you have. So I would be very, very wary of any physical pain that doesn't have any direct physical cause. So I'll give you an example. If I go to the gym and I maybe lift some weights and I strain my back, there is a physical explanation. So it's pretty clear. I strain my back. Maybe I've lifted too heavy. Maybe I stepped awkwardly. That's got to, or let's say I'm washing a window and I'm overstretching and something hits me here. But when I'm just sitting down in my chair, let's say writing an email or doing a live like that, and all of a sudden something hits me, then I know that there is no reason for it other than energetic. So these physical ones are relatively easy to pick up on. The most sneaky ones are when you say, like you said, when things go wrong with your vehicle or where your animal falls sick or something like that. So these things can happen. But like you said before, Aaron, one of the first things is being energetically drained, and that happens quite a lot. Sometimes you're being attacked in your sleep. So, and then there's another one that was actually the very first energetic attack that I have experienced, and this is super relevant to all of you Stasis or you spiritual practitioners, is when you're feeling disconnected from your guides or from your higher, you feel like you're not receiving your messages like you normally do. Like first time I got spiritually attacked, I was not able to translate light languages. For me, translating light languages was like second nature. I always understand what I channel. And then I'm like, something is wrong with me. And again, I didn't know back then. I was like, something is wrong with me. What is wrong with me? Am I losing my abilities? That's all done to knock your confidence down. And I know many spiritual practitioners, healers, etc., who experience that. It's almost like there's a cap on the gifts. For business people, there can be cap on the turnover. And unfortunately, I work with business clients who have had that where they can't smash through some ceiling when it comes to the turnover. So these are just some real life consequences of spiritual attacks. I don't know if there's any other area that you want to add.
I've just been thinking while you've been talking, really. Just thinking if I would add anything. I think that generally kind of covers it. There are many, many different techniques to this kind of thing, but ultimately it kind of manifests in those main things that we've just mentioned, really. And yeah, they can use the astral plane, Michael. There's lots of techniques. Some of them are quite fundamental and more common. And then depending on the ability of the person kind of sending the stuff or trying to do the attacking, they can be a bit more sophisticated. Sometimes they can be really high level. Depends on the people or the group that are kind of dealing
sometimes
with
with groups as well. If people lump together, sometimes there's couples who use also power up the dark practices, for example, by sex. Some people use it for manifesting,
in a negative way.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things go on. Quantum field is the most beautiful place. There's also the most murky place. But I want to go to a question that Sally Ann asked, which I think is an excellent question. How do you know the difference from just being tired or having a bad day to having these experiences because of spiritual attack? So I would say it comes down to your sensitivity. And this is something that we train all our students in, is how do you feel on neutral? Because this, before we go into any quantum architecture, any kind of stuff around this, guys, listen up, because this is the most important, probably simplest thing that anybody can do. Even if you don't know how to erect quantum architecture, even if you don't know how to connect to galactic beings, this is, everybody can do this. How does your field feel when it's clear and calm? Just cast your mind back to a moment where everything is flowing in your life, when your finances are supported, when you're fulfilled, when you are happy, when you're with your family, when you're around your loved ones. This is your natural state. That's how you should feel. And of course, there is other stuff which can cause havoc and stuff like that. Like, for example, when you're working with your energy field and you're releasing different ancestral patterns or karmic patterns. But when your field is restored to its natural state, it should feel good. And again, what's the difference from being tired? Tiredness is not a natural state. So let's say if you had a long journey, like I took a very long journey last week. I went on a bus to the capital for 5 hours there and 5 hours back. And that is a reason to be tired. If you had, like, I don't know, a very hard day at work, then that is normal. But having a bad day shouldn't be normal. Things, when your field is clear and calm, shit doesn't happen, basically. As simple as that. So you can feel tired if you put a lot of work in, or if you, I don't know, clean the house and all the windows, then you can be tired. Or if you've been, humping and dumping on a building site, that's what we used to do years ago. So I know what good tiredness feels like. There's a difference between that and feeling like you drained. And especially if this happens over prolonged period of time, then that's a telltale sign that something is not right.
Correct. Yeah, it's just a case of applying logic and common sense. So if there's a reason that you're tired, you didn't, let's say, for instance, you've had a particularly long day and you're feeling tired, then, you could just be tired. But if you're feeling tired for no apparent reason, or feeling drained, or it's hard to concentrate, or it's hard to connect, then it could be the fact that you're being kind of attacked. And, like I said, within the workshop we've got coming up this week, full day advanced spiritual protection workshop, we'll be installing some technology within people's fields that actually starts acting like an alarm system, like an early warning system, basically. So that's going to give you an indication that you are under negative energy, you are being attacked. And they can come from anywhere, it's, I would say this, I saw, let's have a look, Oana Stefan, I don't know why I would be attacked. I'm all very new at this, just developing and have no business. So yes, absolutely. If you're only just coming into this space, then the chances of you being spiritually attacked are kind of less than, say, people like myself and Ria, who put ourselves out there on the internet and people see us.
However, if a person is newly awakened, they inexperienced. It's like being. Can you imagine going to like a very dangerous place? Let's say we in Latin America. You go to some favela with these gangs and stuff like that, and you're looking like a tourist. You've got your backpack, your shiny shoes, your new iPhone. Well, what do you think is gonna happen? That's exactly what you can be. You can be like the new kids on the block.
Yeah, so Michael, yeah, exactly. And Michael makes a good point. How is sexual energy connected to being attacked? So it isn't on its own. It isn't on its own specifically. But if you've heard of the term sex magic, all that is basically where people will build up this kind of like sexual energy, either themselves or with a partner. And then when it comes to I've got to watch my language on social media, when it comes to that kind of crescendo, the release, the peak energy, then they basically deploy that in manifestation, and it charges up the manifestation. That's what they call sex magic. But it can be deployed with intention the other way. So if you're looking to cast something or to incant something into the field, you can actually charge it up with this negative frequency, or charge it up with this frequency negatively. It's frequency and energy. It just comes down to the direction that you deploy it in. So it's not sexual energy on its own, but it's sexual energy deployed with intention in a certain direction.
Because you can use sexual energy to heal. Sexual energy is just life force energy, it's Kundalini energy, and you can use this energy to move blocks out of the way, to manifest, to create, or you can just use it to enjoy. We're not fans of actually deploying sexual energy for a reason. Goodness me, if we're using literally everything for a purpose, where's the fun in life?
I know otherwise everything's instrumental, and so why. In the context of what we're speaking about, why on earth would you weaponize sex energy? Why would you do that? It's like, I just appeal to anybody who's kind of dabbling and playing around in the dark, come to the light. You know, the time of the darkness is over. We're moving into the age of the light. So just come to the light. Honestly, all is forgiven. We love you. Just come in and make some better choices.
Susan, you've got a fantastic question. And this is, again, a question that I ask anybody on this live. Try it yourself. If one has curses, splits, implants, do these have to be cleared before putting any protection into place? If so, how do they get cleared? So let's use common sense.
Yes.
Let's think of the spells, implants as physical things again. Anytime we bring it down to physicality, things start making sense. And quantum field is really not that different. So let's say you have recording devices. Let's say you have a burglar in the house. Let's say you have water ingress into your house. What do you do first? Put protection or like solve the problem? You solve the problem first. Because if you put protection, just put protection, it only traps that energy in. You have to first clear it out and then put protection to make sure that never happens again. So the defense and clearing techniques go hand in hand with protection. So protection, think of it as prevention. And by the way, not every prevention measure will be 100% certain because there's so many scenarios in the quantum field. Sometimes you just have to be creative. So sometimes you will get attacked from a side that you wouldn't even expect it. So once you get attacked, you have to first deal with the attack and then you reinforce your defenses. So that's basically how you do it.
So, you know, just to touch on what Ria said there, yeah, always within a quantum field is apply logic to stuff, logic and common sense. And so if your energy field, which is being attacked or has curses or hexes or whatever across it, implants in there, that's your house and you want to protect your house. So do I get rid of this stuff first or do the protection? Think of the protection like locking the doors. So if you had a burglar inside of your house, you wouldn't lock the burglar inside of your house. You'd want to get the burglar, obviously, without your stuff. So you'd want to eject the threat from your house and then lock the doors afterwards. So you clean it all, get the junk out, get all the rubbish out, go through the protocol, and then lock the doors, which is that protection. So it's just, again, just starting to think in slightly different terms, but then in those different terms, applying logic and common sense.
So we already talked about spiritual attacks. So let's just talk a little bit about solutions before we wrap this live stream, because there is so much to say, and you guys have some fantastic questions. And I would really, really urge anybody here who is enjoying it to share it forward. I want this knowledge to be as widespread as possible. Because I think we're raising awareness of something super important here. And also, if you're catching up on replay, leave us a comment. If you have any questions that haven't been covered, we will, catch up with this and maybe we create some new posts or videos around this. So thank you so much. So this is just a taste of what is possible on the defense side. There is also the whole realm of how do you deal with those spiritual attacks? How do you clear it? And I'm going to say here quite straight, we are not going to share it in this live stream today because this live stream is publicly available. We are not sharing what we do and how we do it because anybody can listen. I trust that you guys are of positive polarity with beautiful intention. I can feel your energy, but you don't know who's going to be watching and listening. So we'll be sharing some of our advanced techniques on the workshop within our protected community, which is the Quantum Club. Today, we're not going to cover exactly, how you deflect, how you shield, how you absorb, because, hang on. The internet's dropped off. Hang on, can you guys still hear us? I think Aaron's dropped off, but I think I'm still here. Yeah.
Back again, yes.
Who's causing the interference?
Oh, all right. I know. It's all good. Yeah, it's just like I said, we wouldn't exactly like Ria said, we wouldn't be giving out all our techniques just for free on public. Because it's the equivalent of, here's the missile defense systems. Here's where they are. You can go and try and disable them. So never would. It's common sense and logic, right? So you just got to be careful about how you do it.
Yeah. We definitely share more inside our community when we're not on a public live stream on Friday, and we also when we have more time, because some of these techniques of defense are, how can I say, if they not taught and practiced correctly, they can be dangerous. And when we were learning them, that was something that we've been taught. It's like, use it carefully, because just think about it. If you're dealing with stinky, horrible, dangerous energy, bullets, and stuff like that, things can happen. I'll give you an example of a recent attack we've defended without giving too much detail. Someone shot energy at me, and I don't even know the person. It was just literally someone got really triggered by something I put on the social media, and I don't even, never met them, never interacted with them. They just didn't like it because I was speaking about what I'm speaking here, about spiritual attack. That person shot something at me. Aaron was defending this and trying to take that stream of energy out. What happened? The stream exploded in like thousands of shrapnels, and all I hear from Aaron is, brace yourself, or what did you say, or something along the lines? Shield yourself, or you still there? Hang on. I think Aaron's frozen again. I'm not sure what's happening to his stuff. Are you with us, Aaron?
I am, yeah. It was doing the same. This laptop was doing the same last week when I was doing a presentation for the Quantum Club. It was kicking me off the Wi-Fi network for some reason.
Oh, okay. I was just telling the story of how sometimes, we need more time to teach those techniques. That's why we have a full-day workshop, because remember when you were defending the spiritual attack where the energy exploded in those shrapnels? It can be quite dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, right? Okay. Anyway, Aaron's frozen. My point was, these kind of things happen. You back?
It's back, but it was doing it last week when I was doing the presentation, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm too close to the router. It was doing it in the same spot last week, where in the office it was okay. So I don't know. Maybe we can jump on the same laptop. What do you want to do?
No, let's just finish here. We haven't got much left, but I want to share some types of shield and quantum architecture on the preventive side. So can you discuss some of them for us?
Yeah, so if we look at this, if I do bounce off for whatever reason here, Ria, if you could, the techniques and stuff like that.
Okay. So okay? I'll finish it off then. I'll just take you out of the live stream. So basically, we've got various galactic light beings that can help us on both the cleansing side and both the creative defense side, the prevention side. So one of the most popular techniques that we use, which is a very everyday shield, is Syrian shielding. And for those of you who have ever worked with us, you probably know Syrian shielding. This is like a dome of protection. This is great basic shielding for every day. Everybody who comes to the Quantum Club, to our membership community, has that Syrian shielding installed because it's in our library. This is basic. It really helps empaths. So not so much when it comes to the advanced spiritual attacks like we discussed, but there is also other forms of negative energy, such as when it's very, very, very kind of day-to-day life for empaths. So Syrian shielding is great for that. Arcturian, hello, you're back with us. Yeah, or back on your old laptop.
I'm back in the office. I've moved locations to see if that improves it. It was doing the same last week when I was right next to the router.
We don't need to know. Let's just continue.
Okay.
So Arcturian shielding, that was one of the first light codes that we've been shown by the Arcturians was the protection. They shared with us codes of abundance, protection, and I believe courage. That was three first things of the first encounter. Then there is an Andromedan shield, which is like a living shield, which is more suitable for environment and for protecting your house because it's made of trees and it's literally like a living shield. And it's something I've never shared before with anybody. And I'll be very excited to share it with the community on Friday. Then we've got some techniques and technologies which are not purely quantum architecture, but which are more useful on the defensive side. So, for example, the Dragon Liquid Flame and the Pleiadian Cleanse. So these both techniques, alongside with the Purple Flame, maybe some of you have heard of the Purple Flame, are really fantastic to defend something that's already there. So let's say someone is sending you energy. Dragon Liquid Flame can burn it out. Pleiadian Cleanse can, again, cleanse it all out. Then we've got the Akashic technology, and especially the Akashic light language, which I am fortunate to be able to channel. And some of you may be able to channel that too. These frequencies are great for disconnecting any karmic connections, or if there is emotional connections where people are sending you jealousy or something, literally that blasts it out. So, the first technologies on the first line here are more of a prevention. Then the next three, Dragon Liquid Flame, Pleiadian Cleanse, and Akashic Disconnection, are more of techniques you can use to actually cleanse your field. You back with us for good, hopefully?
I hope so.
Are you on the old laptop?
Say again? No, I'm on the current one.
Okay. Yeah, Violet Fire, Karen, absolutely. So then I want to talk to you before we wrap this up about the most precious, the most wonderful thing that is better than any shielding, in my opinion, more useful than even any cleansing techniques, or maybe just as useful, but my personal favorite is early detection technologies. Because what we want to do is we want to catch any negative energy before it starts affecting your physical reality. So not when we kind of already are falling ill, things are breaking, cars are breaking, business revenue drying up. It would be good to know as soon as it comes in. If it attacks your physical body, it's easy to know. But if it's more of a subtle thing, like a cut put on your business, or like some kind of thing programmed in with a time delay, that happens as well. There's tons of it. Then it's good to have the early detection technologies. And I've recently shared that with the Quantum Club members, and it's an Atlantean technology. I don't want to speak more about it on the live stream here, but just know that it's possible to know, apart from your common sense, apart from knowing how the field feels when it's kind of stable and still and not under attack, it's also possible to have quantum technologies which help you detect spiritual attack as soon as it comes in. And literally like that, before it even touches anything and damages anything. It's like like they have these missile detection systems where before it hits any target on the land in the country, they're being dismissed. This is exactly, there is technologies like that available in the quantum field as well. So yeah, there we go. So what I wanted to say to you is, have you guys got any questions at all about anything we've covered? Karen says, if one is connected to source, no need for protection. Well, if you skip to the beginning of this, we kind of, I don't believe in that. It's like if one has got a house, does one lock it? If you connect it to a source, do you kind of not use anything? Source energy is very powerful energy. And by the way, I have seen in the quantum field people using source energy to power up negative stuff, absolutely horrific. It's like a complete misuse of the most pure, beautiful energy, but that does happen as well. So just wanted to address that. Okay, we've got some questions here. Someone who spiritually attacked us in a past life, more likely to attack us again in this one? Not necessarily. There could be, though, some karmic connection between you guys. So there could be some karmic contract or connection. So I think before you actually defend anything in this life, it would be good to kind of clear it on the karmic level, because sometimes any karmic connections can provide access points for people to come to you and attack you in this life. So it's not so much that they're more likely to do it, but it's just that there is that connection. So that. Can spiritual attack negatively affect higher self? I don't believe so. I believe your higher self is like your highest iteration and nothing can do your higher self. However, maybe something can attack your connection to your higher self, and that can happen. So that's something that is absolutely possible. So I think we have covered all the basics, but if you guys are ready for more, then I would like to invite you this Friday to a 4-day advanced spiritual protection and defense workshop. So we will spend an entire day, and it will all be recorded with lifetime access. We'll be just practicing all that we've covered today and then some. I'm respectful of your time here. I know that this subject is a massive subject, and also I'm because of the nature of the subject, I am also very, very wary of what I'm covering here or not. So if you want to learn more, we're going to have very, very detailed workshop where you will learn energetic health and safety principles for different scenarios, working with practitioners, with clients, and in group settings. Because one thing that we haven't mentioned, group settings can very often, if the facilitator is not mindful and not educated, can become really dangerous. Different connections between people opening portals, energy being siphoned, all that thing can happen. So we're going to cover all of that. So we're going to start very basic with just spiritual health and safety, with the hygiene, with the kind of prevention. Then we're going to erect quantum architecture and shielding to protect your energy field, your property, your business, your loved ones, your animals, your possessions, with an array of different galactic upgrades. And it's going to be a workshop. So we're going to show you, but then you're going to practice yourself on your own field so that you learn and you can replicate it, repeat it, use it for your clients, etc. And then towards the end, we're going to go really, really advanced. And we're going to be talking about sophisticated spiritual defense techniques and how to deal with even the most advanced spiritual attacks. We're going to be talking about, like some really advanced stuff, like when people bend time and space in quantum field, what do you do then? When they attack you on different timelines, how do you shield from these kinds of attacks? How do you deal with people who persistently attack you, even though you perhaps defend? What you do when there is a spell? What do you do when there is a curse? What do you do when there's a stream of energy? Because there's different defense techniques depending on the weapon that someone is deploying. So we're going to cover all of that and more. And it's obviously going to be interactive because we're going to be in a smaller setting, in a smaller group, so you guys can ask your questions. And now how to join this, if you're interested, it's through the Quantum Club. We're doing it within our Quantum Club community. It's a membership program with weekly live classes to connect you to higher dimension galactic races. And we have quarterly workshops. And this is one of our quarterly workshops. So the Quantum Club is for starseeds who want to get connected to galactic family, discover and expand abilities, light workers ready to take practice to the next level with your skills, or even to open-minded individuals who are just ready to expand your spiritual abilities, and any Lemurian or Atlantean descendants who want to claim their heritage. So apart from getting access to the workshop live and also the recording, you will have an opportunity to learn to elevate your consciousness to the quantum field and higher dimensions. Connect to different galactic light beings like the Arcturians, the Sirians, the Andromedans, the Pleiadians, the Orions, the Galactic Federation. Learn to recognize differences between energetic signatures of different galactic races, because we work with so many different energies and we work in a very precise manner, so you get to meet them all. And of course, develop your spiritual abilities such as light languages, channeling, spiritual protection, that's what we're dealing with, reading Akashic records, spotting ancestral patterns, and many more. So what's included in your membership, apart from the participation in the live workshop? Well, you get instant access to an indexed vault of over 100 session recordings. We've got an array of different subjects, be it abundance, be it the Akashic records, be it light languages. They also segregated by race, so you can have binge on the Arcturians, or binge on the Andromedans, or binge on the Sirians. There's lots of upgrades, and everything is retained within this library of light. Apart from that, we get 4 live sessions every month. We make it every Thursday, and we literally are there for you. It's with me and Aaron. It's not delegated to any coaches. You get direct access to us. You can ask your questions. You get access to quarterly full-day workshops, like that upcoming spiritual protection workshop. You receive recordings of all workshops to date, such as the Starseed Initiation Workshop, the Dragon Day Workshop. There was a beginner's Quantum Portal Workshop where we were just, learning the beginning techniques of even connecting to the quantum field. Apart from that, it's a very, very special community of starseeds and light workers where we also hang out. So you get our personal support in our private group. And the best thing, everybody is there because they want to be there. Because there's no contract, anybody can cancel at any time. Literally, notice period is immediate. So, you want to cancel, you cancel. You want to stay, you stay. Because this is our way of doing business. We don't want to bind people into any agreements. We want it to be energetically clean, neat, and tidy. So the best thing is everybody is there because they want to be there. So you can join by following the link that Red here has posted, bit.ly Galactic Club. I will maybe post the full link as well. Give me a second. Or you can just reach out if you want to join us. This workshop is going to be absolutely fantastic, just as every session every week. And this is now currently one of the very, very few ways of working with us. We hold less and less individual sessions. We're focusing this year a lot on the Quantum Club. It's our absolutely beloved kind of offer that we have, and I hope you can join us inside. Also hope that you have enjoyed this session on spiritual protection. Thank you so much for being here with us. Consider sharing it forward if you found it useful, and I really hope that we can see you inside the Quantum Club so you can learn some more advanced techniques beyond the basics that we've covered today. Sending you lots of love and wishing you complete safety in the spiritual realm and beyond. Thank you, thank you, thank you.